Welcome to Toffee TV. I'm joined by John Blame. We're going to have a chat about the business aspect of Everton, a little one. Me and Ped had a little chat, but go right to the top. Get the main man in,
him,
the main businessman. We'll speak about him as well. This video is sponsored by OneFootball, the app that keeps you up to date with the latest transfer rumours, stats and scores, all in the one place to download the app. It's free. Click the link in the description. John, while you're away, otherwise I'd have got you in then, Mr. Moshiri upped his shareholding at Everton. He bought Lord Grantchester, or the Grantchester family's shares, which I'm quite sure you're well aware of, being the chairman of the Shareholders Association, and he now owns 77.2% of the club. I know it was a planned
it was announced earlier
increase, wasn't it? So I mean,
end of last year,
is there anything to be read into it really, other than it's just him strengthening his hand?
What do you mean by read into it?
Well, just I mean, why would he feel the need to increase it? He was already the majority shareholder. Why would he?
That's the material question, I guess. Yeah. Think about it. He's invested a lot of his own personal wealth already. Bless him. Yeah. And loans and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's a big chunk of shares available for sale. Whatever, I can't remember what John had, 9 point whatever it was or something.
8.6.
Well, there you go, 9ish. Yeah. And if you think from a company's Companies Act's perspective, certain things happen when you've got certain amounts of shares. Yeah.
Okay.
So, as you recall from the Shareholders Association, forcing the reinstatement of general meetings, you needed 5% of the shareholdings and things like that. But 9ish% is a big chunk. Yeah. Particularly as that probably made John either technically or about to be, the second largest shareholder.
Yeah.
So why would you run the risk of someone else being the second largest shareholder? Yeah.
Okay.
So in material terms, it doesn't give him any more. Doesn't give him any more power or influence or control than he had before.
Yeah.
But it does obviously avoid the potential for somebody building up a good shareholding who could be disruptive, I suppose, is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And it probably continues the general erosion of the largest shareholders, excluding the huge number of minority shareholders. My own view as the chair of the shareholders is that the majority shareholders. Sorry, he's the majority shareholder.
Is, yeah.
The large shareholders, which in the past would have been those who were on the board, like Bill and John Woods and others prior to then. Anyone who's not them would have been a minority.
Right, yeah.
But I know Bill in particular considers the minority to be those who literally have handfuls of shares.
Okay.
And I guess they're the people who would be thinking, what happens to me? Are they going to force me to sell? And things like that. And he's always said to me when I've met him, no, he's not. And so that those people who aggregated up around 15% of the shareholding doesn't make a blind bit of difference to us. No difference at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably, if we wanted to try and do something, I don't know, some extreme example, for whatever reason we tried to force a general meeting.
Yeah.
Then it would make it harder.
Yeah.
But John didn't formally back us last time. So,
okay.
So in that sense, I mean, John sat on the fence. So he'd have helped if we needed him, but we didn't.
Right. Okay.
So in that sense, it doesn't make any difference really.
Yeah.
So it's a reaffirmation of his commitment, I suppose.
I was going to say, that's something me and Ped done a little thing when it broke about it, and we were just saying, well, to us, just looking at it as fans on the outside, without it's just a further demonstration of his commitment to the football club. That's kind of how I looked at it.
And the club's appreciating in value, and I guess.
And so that'll make his value go up. I suppose.
To a degree, it protects his
assets or whatever. Yeah.
Remember, we certainly said it on Everton Business Matters, and we might have even said it here, whether it was me or Roger or somebody. But in the dark and distant past, when he had less than 50%, he was lending all that money to the football club without any guarantee of getting it back. And you might argue that the reason he could and was prepared to do that is because he knew that in the fullness of time he would have control. And I guess perhaps Grantchester and what have you, the amount that they've received was agreed a long time ago. And if you're Fahad Moshiri and you're saying, well, according to the market value of the business, these shares are worth 50p, and I've agreed to buy them for 25, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? True, yeah.
So,
there is
that's part of it, I guess.
moving past that then, obviously there's next month we're going to see stadium designs and the second part of the consultation comes about. I know that Colin Cheong has met some fan groups and the fans forum and Everton Disabled Supporters Club and people like that this week, so things are kicking on there as obviously we ramp up towards the second consultation. Where are we in terms of the stadium in your opinion? I know nothing's really changed as far as the last time we had the consultation. Everything seems to still be on the right track. Where are we? Do you think this consultation, because it is next month and designs are going to be shown and people then I think will get a little bit more excited than
it becomes more real when you can see what it looks like.
That's it. I think at the moment it's a concept to us, isn't it, still, and it's like
it's only the outside.
Oh yeah.
You know,
well yeah of course, but it's good to see, it's going to be good to see that kind of stuff. So are you someone who believes that we're still on track for, I know 2022's gone, that's kind of gone now.
That was still possible till very recently.
Yeah, but are you still someone who thinks the 2023-24 season is somewhat is a big possibility for us to kick off in? Yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
I'm just asking you.
I mean, I suppose it's a question for you.
Well, I've seen conversations from other naysayers on Twitter saying it won't happen and stuff, so that's why I'm saying.
I think, Evertonians are very pessimistic animals. I mean, we've put up with a lot for a long time.
We have.
And the stadium one is a particular... we've had such screw-ups in the past, whether Kirby... Well, to go reverse, Walton Hall Park, Kirby before that, the Kings, and so on. That... classically until it's finished, I mean, you get people, perhaps when you do your stuff and all the rumours are going, we'll move on to transfer windows soon anyway, but when people talk, until I see the guy holding the shirt up, I don't believe he's signed. And the same will apply with the stadium until I actually see it, publicly stated we've got planning permission and some guys seen the diggers down there, all that sort of stuff. Even then people say, well, until it's physically building and then until it's finished, until
it's got a pitch on it.
So until someone sat in their seat in the south stand, with a load of people stood up in front of them and the atmosphere is fantastic, there'll be someone somewhere who won't believe until then, and even then they'll look out at this hopefully magnificent thing and go, I still don't believe it. And then the other extreme are the people who believe everything the club tells them, and therefore what you're talking about. And the vast majority of us are somewhere in the middle, either towards the left or towards the right, or left centre, right centre, all that sort of stuff. So if right centre in that example is more positive, then I'm the more positive end. I mean, I have the good fortune to speak to people who I trust and therefore believe. But I also ask other people who I trust and believe, and other people who I may not trust and believe, and then you do some correlation and you find out what looks like truth, just because you should sanity check everything. And people who have a single source, it's like journalism, isn't it? If you have a single source and you go in the newspaper with it, you might look a bit daft. You might be right, you might not. But if you've got three sources who are not connected, all saying the same thing or similar, that's on my missus.
Go on.
We said she'd ring when we were filming. I thought I'd put this on mute, sorry. So everyone I speak to, to do with getting the money, where the project plan is up to, all those sorts of things, say it's on track. Yes, we'll submit a planning application this year, and then it's in the lap of the approval body. So when people do their own timelines with their own assumptions, people when they read that should say that's somebody's assumption. And if you change it, often with project plans, it's change the assumptions. That's what counts. Often the assumptions are the things that make the difference. So I think you can do a timeline that says, well, if planning takes this long, or if consultation takes this long, or if then it'll be after 23, August 23. But my understanding was, because 22 was possible, there must still be some wriggle room in the plan. But I think I've said it recently on Twitter, we've eaten into some of the contingency that is in the plan. People start getting a bit uptight about it being called in for review by the Secretary of State. Everyone thinks that called in equals public inquiry, which it doesn't have to.
No.
In fact, it's less likely to. It just means the Secretary of State's going to review the plans or the decisions that have been made. So you can make assumptions about what ifs on that.
Yeah.
But right now, and you call them the naysayers, but the "I told you so's." If it isn't 23, you'll come back to this video and "told you so." But if it were out for 23, no one will be saying "I told you so" to the naysayers, will they?
No.
Yeah. So it's
that's what happens.
But it's easier to be negative, or conservative, or wait and see. But yeah, everything I listen to or I see and hear, says that we'll do it.
I mean, Farhad Moshiri's been quite clear, hasn't he, since he took over in, what was it, March 2016, was new stadium. We've got the land, everything seems to be following a pattern. I can't ever, I don't think we've ever been this far down in any of the stadiums. Walton Park was conversations with Joe Anderson, and Tesco was conversations with other people. King's Dock was 25 million quid, I think, would have got us to King's Dock at that time, and I'm sure we could have all probably raised it if they'd let us know that. But we are where we are, and we're on track for that. And I, for one, I can't wait to see the designs, because
I think the designs
it will help with it.
They'll be, they'll provide an anchor point, won't they? I mean, I think it's a big month next month, or the end of next month. For Dan Meese, because he's been rebel rousing for quite a long time about what this thing's going to look like, and inevitably there will be people who don't like it when they see it.
Oh, of course, listen,
because it's going to be,
of course,
hopefully like no stadium we've ever seen, really, from the outside. I mean, there's not a lot you can do inside.
No,
it's seats and a bit of green stuff. But yeah, I mean, capacity is an issue, I think.
That was my next thing. Because I know we both, we were at the last consultation. I put in any other notes or whatever it was, question 6 or whatever it was.
Yeah, we all did, I think. Lots of us did. Yeah.
It has to be bigger than 52,000. I did say that. For me, and I said it, I think we did a video last week, me and Ped, or whoever we were talking to. I didn't see any way it could be less than 55. Personally, I still don't now. Even if Dan Meese was sat here with Denise Farah Baxnell and Farhad and Bill, I'd be saying, I don't understand how we can plan to be less than 55. I don't. Me and you sat here 6 weeks ago and went through, perhaps if we reduced the size of the width of the seats, we could throw another 3,000 in and make it 55. That to me is still, I'm not an architect, and Dan Meese could laugh when I say that, but that to me is something that I think Everton could do to give us. I think if Everton come out and went, it's 55,000 from day one, and there's perspective there. If there's a change in the legislation, or if the safety groups at the stadium say, we can have safe standing and it's 1 to 1.5, we can extend it to 60,000 or whatever. I think a lot of Evertonians would go, okay, 55,000, okay, that's better than what it was. It's 16,000 more than we've got at Goodison Park. It puts us above Newcastle, and it puts us above, it's 5,000 less than Tottenham, but it's still better than what. I think a lot of people would be comfortable with that.
Perhaps, yeah.
More so. It's not what we'd all wanted, 60 or more if we could. Sure. We want as many. But do you think there's any, just sitting here today without knowing anything, do you think, no, it's a close shot? Do you think there's any way the club will listen if enough people bang on about the capacity? Or do you think are you someone who thinks it's pointless, really, if fans making that?
I type of person I am, it's never pointless.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, just for a brief moment, I can well imagine a previous chief exec sitting in his office and getting told that people don't like the badge, and him thinking, so what?
Yeah.
A month later, it's history.
Yeah.
So the so-called fan power really matters.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I think, and one thing that's never reconciled, it's like that horrible political thing that goes on and has been going on for almost as long as this has been going on.
Yeah.
That there are lots of fans out there who think 52 is plenty. There's some who think it's too big. There's people, yes there are. Gavin, you're out there, yeah.
52 is too big.
Yeah, he thinks 45 is plenty.
Nonsense.
Yeah, but the point is that it's all with hearsay or very subjective things like, oh, empty seats. Remember Dan Meese said that in St Luke's, that empty seat, so on. But the objective people who I've spoken to at the club fundamentally just say it's 52 because the business case doesn't stand up for more. That is more understandable than an emotional, we'll have empty seats.
Yeah, fair enough.
My view, you start getting into ticket price, we could talk about ticket pricing then and so on. But if the real reason is we just don't think it stands up financially to have more than 52, then that's all the club needs to say. I personally am insulted when anyone at the club tells me we wouldn't fill it, because I have a real issue with that. I really do. I have a real issue with any Everton fan who thinks that we couldn't fill a 60,000 seater stadium every single week. Now there'll be people listening to this say, oh yeah, well when we're really, I was going to swear then, when we're not playing as well as we can, and I've been in Goodison with 15, 16, 17 and so on. But I mean, that's just such a half-empty view of the world, it's not true. If this man's talking any truth at all, why would it ever be empty? We didn't have a great season, but try and get a ticket for the last home game or the second to last home game.
Sold out every game.
Exactly. So the fan base is out there. I mean, the club talks about, there's 10,000 on the waiting list, but not all of them are going to take up the options. And therefore, and you've got all these desk exercises with fancy spreadsheets going on, but no one's asking me how many more tickets I want. And that's the point. Paul on Business Matters, come up with a fabulous soundbite, which is there's so many people out there who don't know they're Evertonians yet. And the club doesn't know the people who would have tickets if they were sold them. And the other thing which I'm starting to get my head around from hearing what is or might not happen is that we're going to have a substantially larger walk-up than perhaps most of us would think. I mean, my view is that the Goodison, if you do the percentage of season tickets to capacity, then I think you would end up with a season ticket count of about 42,000 in a 52,000 seater stadium. And my understanding is we're planning for it to be less than that, quite a bit less than that. Therefore, we're assuming there's going to be a bigger walk-up. Right. Bigger walk-up's just a euphemism for people who can't be guaranteed a seat.
Of course.
And as we all know, I mean, it's there. I sit in the park end up there, and my average ticket price per season's, what is it? Per game rather, it's probably about 25 quid a game, isn't it, something, with my season ticket. But if you could get a seat in there, because it's all season ticket holders, for an ad hoc game, it'd be 50. Now from a business point of view, that's good news.
Of course.
If we could fill the stadium with walk-up, by definition we'd get maybe twice as much match day income, wouldn't we? Because everyone's paying twice as much. And then you get into how does that work with affordable ticket prices, and you get into all those dynamics.
Well, I think it needs to be put out there for me. There's no way it's not going to increase. We're all going to be paying more.
Absolutely.
Of course we are.
And anyone doesn't believe, just go. I mean, go back to that business case thing again. Go and have a look at Paul's blogs and stuff. And I know I say this almost every time we talk about the subject. He's done it to death. He's at a loss to understand or try to understand why the business case doesn't stand up for more than 52 when he says it doesn't stand up if it's less than 60. But that's back to that, when I said before about assumptions. Clearly
we're all going to pay more.
Clearly the club's assumptions around income must be different
to what we're thinking.
And people,
well, if you're saying it's £25 a game roughly on average, for yours, right?
And that's the most expensive stand.
You're going to be saying, I would be saying, well, it's probably going to be £35 a game on average.
I don't know. I
know we don't know, but I'm saying it wouldn't, or £30 a game. It's going to be more than what it is now, and that I think it's really important that people discuss that and start to get their heads around it. It is
important, simply. And because for every person who thinks, well, I don't want empty seats, there won't be any. But I don't want empty seats. I want good atmosphere and all those good things. What will become important to people is how much is going to cost me to go to the match.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because there are people who go to the game right now, buying season tickets, who it's a big chunk of their income.
Oh, without a shadow.
And therefore, any increase at all could take them out of the fan base.
Yeah.
And that's something the club has to think about as well. So when they're talking about demand, maybe that's driven the model on 52,000, and so on. But what's really, it's not too difficult for anyone to grasp, is we're building a brand spanking new stadium and it's going to cost some money. So we're going to increase debt. Some of that debt is either going to be to large shareholders or shareholders in the round, if we do a bond issue or that sort of thing. But a chunk of it we're going to borrow.
Of course.
We're going to borrow 350 million, whatever it might be, like we were going to do at Liverpool City Council.
Yeah.
That money will, just like paying your mortgage off, it's going to, you've got to have your DD going out every month, haven't you?
Yeah.
And the annual cost of that money is an additional cost to the business. Yeah. So if you imagine we transplant ourselves from Goodison Park into Bramley Moor, our costs have just gone up, whatever it is, 25 million pounds a year. So we either have 25 million pounds a year less to spend, or we have to increase our income by at least 20 to 25 million to be equal. To be equal. Now, the general headline from the audience might be, "Oh, that's all going to come from hospitality and
name and rights."
And well, forget them for a moment, but that, because we're talking about annualising every single year. But clearly, some of it could come from name and rights. So 10 million a year comes from that. You still got 15 to, and so on. But there's only, there's only going to be 4,500 premium seats in there, unless that changes. And so when you do the sums, let's keep it simple and say, okay, by some miracle, all the premium seats pay for that debt. They cover that debt. They
cover the debt, yeah.
That probably means an annual increase in the cost of premium seats every single year between now and unless you do it as one big chunk. Between now and we get there in 2023, I don't know, of the order 5-6% or something every year.
Every year, yeah.
And then you triple it because you've got 3 times as many places, and the increase in match day income covers the debt.
Sets it off, yeah.
So, but I thought we wanted better players. We want to give the manager more money. We want to drive assets on the field. Therefore, we have to increase income. And I know we don't want to go down this track, but that means commercial income and all those sorts of things. I think it's somewhat naive to think we'll get better commercial deals just because we've got a nice stadium. But the other things that go with the nice stadium is potentially a better team, a more competitive team, and all those sorts of things.
Let me ask you this then. All that, totally understand, and all that's absolutely spot on, and I think everyone will understand that. Now, just very quickly, we've just seen the other occupants of the city doing something a couple of weeks ago. The afterbirth, I call them at times, but they are, it's fact. But they've, what I would say, looking at them, and I'm using them because they're our rivals in our city, playing in the same division as us, so that's why.
They're a decent benchmark.
They're an elite club in Europe, that's what they are. But to me, on the outside, they've gone up in the last 4 or 5 years, even bigger as a brand and everything. So how can Everton, who play in the same cities, play in the same league and everything, how can we not match it? Because I think the way I look at Man City, I don't think Man City will ever be as big as United, but they may be more successful than Manchester United, but I don't think they'll ever be as big worldwide because it's just the way it is. I look at Liverpool and think the same.
50 years takes a lot of time to catch up.
Exactly. I look at Liverpool and think I don't think we'll ever be as big as them globally, but we could be as successful as them, going forward and all that. How do you, when you look at Everton, because when I look at it, I just think we're much smaller everything we do. Liverpool went and got Peter Moore, who's the chairman of EA Sports, who knew everyone. He's an unbelievable fella with so many contacts everywhere, and since he's come in, he's talking about developing their digital side of everything they do has increased. Now Everton could surely mirror that, but on a smaller scale.
Because he's got a digital background, a games playing background, and he's talked about current and future generations consuming the game in a different way, and all that, and you've heard him say that. Have you heard Sasha say it?
No.
Because he has
he said it?
Yeah.
Has he?
Yeah,
I've heard Sassy say certain things, but
maybe he hasn't done it as frequently. And one of the things Peter Moore's doing is he's got his presentation. I've seen it at the IOD and stuff. And he's on the road pushing it. And what we don't see, which is part of the answer to your question, is who's on the road pushing Everton? Who's living and breathing that brand from a positive perspective all day, every day. And if you're not careful, I'll call him a chief engagement officer sort of thing, because it's still there, guys. And that's the point. He's a salesman. That's what he is. He's both a salesman of himself and a salesman of his football club, and he will inevitably impact what goes on inside the football club. I mean, even Klopp's getting a bit more edgy about some of the things he says, you know, which are marketing statements, you know, and things like that. So part of the answer to your question is we need better quality people in those leadership roles with very clear accountabilities, and we need to be bolder than we are, and we need to move with greater pace. Because you started at the first half of this, or whatever it turns out to be when it's finished, talking about the stadium. For all the fact that, you know, if you do a balance sheet of what's good and what's bad, something on the good side would be things like, well, since Denise took control of it when Elston went, so far everything we as a club have said will happen has happened. We're going to do this at this
Following
time.
A line,
okay. We've been sensible about managing expectation by being vague, like in the summer, before the end of the year, that sort of stuff. But that's reasonably prudent, and people will build confidence as and when things happen. So the second phase of public consultation will happen. I don't know whether the club actually understands whether it really can do one of the things it said about pretty much every single person who was involved in the first phase of fan consultation will be invited to the second phase of fan consultation, because fan consultation has to conclude before the public consultation starts, otherwise it's pointless. So we've got 3 or 4 weeks to do that, so that's an interesting one. But clearly some fans consultation has taken place. Shareholders Association, the shareholders were the first people they spoke to last week, and then this week, and they've done those, you know, those other groups. But the point being, when you're doing all those things, we have on the negative side of it would be, but could it have been done quicker? Could what we're doing in July, could we have done it in March? What we did the previous March, could we have done, and so on. So we're making the best of you know, a bit of a sticky situation that Denise probably inherited, and we're doing slowly, cautious approach. And I had a chat with somebody, I don't know whether it was a DM or publicly on Twitter, it's there if it was publicly, but what we're trying to do here is front load a lot of the stuff that will save us time at the back end. And so if, you know, assumptions that say getting planning could take 8 or 9 months result in it taking 8 or 9 months, then perhaps the 3 to 6 months we've taken longer on this side of the submission
might speed.
No.
Oh, okay.
If it was wasted time, wasn't it?
Oh, okay, sorry,
But clearly, if we spend 3 to 6 months longer on this side and knock 4 to 7 months off that side, it was worthwhile. And that's what people.
And that was my understanding.
You're not inside the tent. You don't know what the propensity is for that. But the point is, as long as they continue, and I've heard people on Twitter saying, you know, things are slipping. Well, nothing slipped. That's it.
No.
The club never ever said beyond Elston it was 2022.
No, but they also said there'd be a consultation before Christmas. It happened. They said there'll be a second one in the summer,
and it has,
and
or it will.
It's about to happen in 3 weeks' time.
And then a planning application this year.
So they've got theoretically they've got till December.
And then I think at the general meeting we were talking about hopefully start building in the first quarter of 2020. But that, of course, is a sunny day plan that approval comes quite quickly. But it also means how close to the end of 2019 is it? I mean, I know again, go and have a look at his blog, guys, but Paul's done his timeline, but I think his timeline is got approval in whatever, something happened in 2020, January the 1st, because of course if you get told publicly we're going to submit a planning application this year, and if you're going to do a timeline, you make it the 31st of December, don't you?
We'll just stretch it.
So any time it is before then brings back the timeline.
It's a positivity.
And then if you make an assumption that it's 8 or 9 months to gain planning approval, and it's 3, then it moves to the left 6 months. And there's 6 months buffer in there already, which no one knows what it's for, if you remember. And that's undoubtedly some form of contingency. And if that isn't used, it comes back another 6 months.
True.
So doing all those sums in your head, people, as you can now, that's why 2022 was possible. And now it's not.
No, it's not.
Because something has gone to the right.
So something has slipped then.
Something, well,
even though
not publicly.
No,
but in their planning it must have done.
Well, listen, if it's,
and I'll tell you offline what I think it is.
if it's right at 2023, then it's right at 2023. Let me ask you this then, very quick. I mean, the going forward, I want Everton to improve in all areas. I want better people. I want to chase Liverpool down, or chase Man City down, or chase it. Then,
well, right now, I mean, I think you make the point about they've elevated themselves over the last 2 or 3 years on the back of some good buying on the back of some exceptional selling.
Yeah. Oh God.
You know, Suarez and Coutinho funded the rest of it, so to speak. 3 years ago, we wouldn't have aspired to catch them. We would locally, but not as getting right to the top, because they were in a way almost as far from the top as we were, having spent lots more money.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Now, if we were to compete with them, we'd be in the top 2 or 3, not the top 4 or top 6, top 2 or 3.
I just mean you use them as a benchmark. Listen,
whoever the best is, we should use as a benchmark.
That's it. But they are one of the best now. You know, so that's why I said Man City as well, because City quite clearly.
And if you do it organically, and in the sense of, it's a bit like athletes, isn't it? You know, Baz holds the 100-meter world record, but I claim I hold a clean 100-meter world record. Yeah. And in that example, you would be Man City. It's the way it's supercharged, through their ownership, and I'd be Liverpool. They're the clean club. Well, in that sense,
but they are, aren't they? But
in that analogy.
So finally,
hitting them would be more than adequate.
Yeah. Okay. So finally, with the stadium, do you think that, because this is what I think a lot of people want to know or are curious about, do you think the stadium will harm us financially in terms of, it quite clearly won't overall, hopefully, if that's what we want to, but will hurt our spending on the team? Or is it from a different pot, so to speak?
I don't think, people will talk about, is it from a different pot, so to speak, but at the end of the day, the football club has income, and it has outgoings, so it's all the same pot. Some naive statements like ring-fenced and things, they're the things you might say at a certain stage, but I'm telling you, if there's money in this pot and you need money in that pot, you'll move it.
Isn't there? But isn't there going to be a separate company for the stadium, though? Is that not?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, that's just the financing it, and there's, Goodison Park Stadium Limited exists as well. But I mean, yes, clearly they can do, and maybe that's to do with investments and borrowings and all those sorts of things. But ultimately, the football club will have a charge for the stadium. Whether, whatever it's called, the stadium company is renting the stadium to the football club, still has a cost to the football club. And as the only form of income that the stadium company might have is actually the rent, then it's got to cover the borrowings.
So you think it'll stop us spending?
I think it could. And it's why things like ticket pricing, capacity, the claims around business cases are really quite material, because if we're going to move to a beautiful new stadium on the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey and have no more money to spend on assets, what the hell are we doing it for?
What's the point?
What the hell are we doing it for? So clearly we're constrained at Goodison with some of the incomes, because there's not a lot of hospitality, the actual capacity of the stadium, you've got sight lines, so it's hard to justify increasing prices when people are sat behind pillars, blah 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 blah. All those things are reasons, positive and valid reasons, for going to a new stadium. So that's the first thing. Does a new stadium stack up as viable? Then there's a premium for being where we've chosen to put it. And that becomes then the number, doesn't it? Whether someone's saying the stadium now costs 400, 500, 600 million, whatever it costs, then that's what it costs. And therefore that becomes a drag on the business, and therefore that is what has to be countered. And the only way you can counter that is ensuring that your revenue is a net gain on what would happen if you'd stayed here, or put the stadium somewhere else. The answer to your question is, if it's not a net gain, i.e. you pay all the debt and have got more money, then it will impact on players.
So in that case, then, what's the point?
Because the business case must say there's a net gain, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it.
Because ultimately, the one thing it's going to be great and it's fantastic having this stadium and it's iconic and it's on the skyline and blah, blah. But
that's where the rubber hits the road.
But ultimately, the only way anything and any football club is successful, the only way I've used them as an example of being successful is about putting players on the pitch that can win things. I wouldn't be saying, do you think we can be like Liverpool if Liverpool were 15th, or do you think we should be like Man City if Man City were 10th? They're the two teams at the very top at the moment, but the two teams, the two most expensive squads in European football, by the way, first and second in the Premier League. So unless Everton can continue to put their hand in the pocket and bet better and build smart buying, of course, because I think Liverpool have bought really smartly and they're selling, like you said, smart selling. has enabled them to build a team without having to go to Jurgen Klopp or to Pep Guardiola. We've got no money.
Size matters, right? It really does. Absolutely, yeah. Size matters, and you know, if you're talking sporting, a good big un will always beat a good little un. Yeah.
I beat lots of good big uns.
Well, you were probably better than them.
Okay.
Well, there you go. I was quick, so you had an advantage.
Yeah.
So if we can't overnight quadruple or tenfold increase our commercial income.
Yeah. Course,
I mean, I think, you know, commentators are right when our commercial performance clearly would benefit greatly from us winning things.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean to say it can't be made better without winning things.
Yeah.
So you have to do that organic growth. Then you get some step change when we win the FA Cup or we win the League Cup or we're in Europe every single year or we sell Richarlison for 150 million quid or something. Because even things like that make you seen differently. They had a 150 million pound player. Yeah. Or the opposite, you don't sell him and you keep him. And then you can attract players and so on and so on and so forth.
But we have to sell some, won't we?
Absolutely. So you need to be smarter. You know, the big beats little unless little does something else. You know, like working harder, for example.
Talent. Yeah.
So perhaps you go to markets where the competition is less than it would be. Yeah. Perhaps you do things differently just to be different.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about having affordable ticket prices for Bramley-Moore or even for Goodison Park. What's affordable? Because if our match-going fans are broadly the same demographic of those that go to the other place, excluding the tourist types, then clearly our lot can afford the same sort of prices that they can afford.
And theirs are more expensive.
And theirs are more expensive. So we may choose to be less expensive than them, but have the gap narrowed. And it's awfully laudable. And this is the business part of it. You know, this is corporation versus club and all that rubbish. It's very laudable to maintain ticket prices, but it actually is it artificial, and I don't think it is, because you could say, well, we were full because our ticket prices are low. Well, there's no football fan I know who says I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'll go to Goodison because the tickets are cheaper.
No.
But you may gain.
You may get the odd.
But you may gain fans. Yeah. But you may gain fans because it's more accessible. Yeah. So the answer to your question is being smarter, whatever that means, and you could do a whole bloody series of videos on what does that mean.
Yeah.
But we're slow.
Yeah.
We're cautious. We need to be bold and intellectually and commercially aggressive. Do something different that gets attention. Drive the social media platforms, drive the digital content. I mean, you said to me before, and I've not seen it, that PL did a jokey about Everton's fixture list. Winter is coming. Well, I've noticed that whoever's driving our digital Twitter, for example, is a bit cuter now than they used to be.
Battered it straight back, which was good.
Bang, you know. So drive up the number of followers. You know, give the media content they can't get anywhere else.
But
you know,
this is the
say to Sky, you can come to Finch Farm any time you like. You know, so start off, they'll come to us because they've got to fill something at 3 o'clock in the morning, won't they? But then they'll realise actually these Everton guys are really nice, and then you start getting positive vibes about what the media think. At the moment, we hold the media at arm's length and give them the absolute minimum and stuff. Do the opposite. You know, sorry, I'm on one now, aren't I? You know, you got like take I don't know. Formula One, because I'm a Formula One fan. You take Formula One, it's like the very top of the tree on motorsports, isn't it? You've got, if you look at Vettel and Lewis Hamilton, they're from different countries, they're slightly different ages, but the only thing they've got in common is that they both drive Formula One racing cars. The cars are different, blah, 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 blah. Everything is different. And one's their own colour and all that sort of stuff. And then they get split by thousandths of a second. You know? 2 different design teams, 2 different factories, and 2 different, and so on and so on and so forth, split by thousandths of a second. And yet sometimes, when one's following the other, the man comes on the radio and he says to Vettel, if Hamilton goes in the pits, don't. If he doesn't go in the pits, do.
Right.
Because they're throwing the dice.
Yeah.
And maybe part of that being smarter is be different.
Throw the dice, basically.
Throw the dice, be different. Because if you try and do cautious, sensible, textbook growth, this is my foot race analogy on Everton Business Matters, the other guys are running faster than us.
So we're never going to catch up.
So we'll never ever catch up.
So we have to do sprints, aren't we?
we have to do something different. Take a shortcut, because even sprint might not work. But it's easier said than done saying be different. But at the moment we could be a bit more lively, a bit more bold, and that means the fan base as well. To be honest, we don't want to be called a cult. I'd rather be called a cult winning things than be told a lovely, friendly people's club not winning things.
Yeah, spot on. You can check John out on Everton Business Matters. Make sure you do that podcast. Loads more business chat. So check that out. Make sure you do. Give us a subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. If you want more videos, make sure you check Patreon out as well. See you later. Cheers.